Hey y'all, and welcome to the Get My Life Tour. It is me, your host, Lydia T. Blanco, and as always, I am hype. I'm excited. I'm elated. I'm all of these adjectives, okay? Because you decided to show up for yourself and take center stage in your life, and we know how challenging that can be. So today, I'm celebrating who you. I'm also hype because this conversation today is long overdue. But in the wise words of Chadwick Boseman, take your time, don't waste your time. And I'd like to say, even though it's kind of contradictory, that this conversation is right on time. Like divine timing is everything. I'm excited because I appreciate connecting with high quality women, women of faith, women who are firmly rooted in who they are, who are secure, who are giving, loving, able to receive, and who challenge you. Oh, what a blessing, right? And so I'm so hyped because today I have Chauncéa. Okay, I'm just gonna call her by her first name like Beyonce because they got the same accent over the E. Okay, and she will let you know if you call her Chauncea or Chauncey. That is Chauncéa. Okay, and she is incredible. Okay, originally from Washington D.C. Y'all know I have like a special place for DCers. I don't know if that's what you really call them in my heart. Chauncea is an accomplished social media influencer, Christian leader, and digital brand strategist who has been featured in publications such as Forbes, Refinery 29, BuzzFeed, and more. Beyond that, she applies all of her knowledge from her collegiate days in her international travel, her creativity, in all of her greatness to help others grow in their faith, to diversify their audiences, to come up with brand strategy, digital strategy. She is helping people level up as they leverage up in their careers personally, professionally, and in business. And I am so grateful to be growing in friendship and sisterhood with her and have her center stage right here on the Get My Life tour because we are going to be talking about everything from transition to faith. All that she's doing in business, how you live your life is your business, okay? And I can't wait. And you don't have to wait either because she is right here. So help me welcome Chauncea to the Get My Life tour. Oh my goodness. I'm so hyped that you're here.
I'm so glad to be here. I love you, Lydia. I'm so excited about just
I love you
all
too.
come from this, and I'm humbled that you would want me to be a part of your stage.
Yes. Let me tell you something. There are some people who the Most High really puts in certain places in the arena. My sister, I remember she drew out this great diagram. And I was like, oh my goodness, now, girl, I'm on this Get My Life tour and it's so applicable. And she had people in the front row. There was a backstage. There was like center stage and all these other things. And I was like, hello, it's right on time. And immediately I was like, okay, homegirl's gonna be backstage. We're gonna be on the road together. We're gonna be selling tickets. She's come like you're in all those places. So I say all to say, I am so grateful for you. I love you too. And I'm so glad that you are here.
I'm glad to be here. I'm so glad to be.
Okay, now look, before I go on and continue to gloat about you, which, I will do respectfully, let people know who you are in your own words.
Wow. So I am everything Lydia said. I'm a digital brand strategist. I play with content creation. Okay, I'll say that. And I'm from the DC area. But fun fact, prior to the pandemic, I lived in Los Angeles for 7+ years, and have really just been obedient to the various surprising journeys that God has had me on. But I help people to clarify their brand identity, their goals, and then let's monetize it. Let's put it out there on the internet, whatever platform, YouTube, Instagram, now TikTok, all of it. And let's monetize it because we have so many gifts, so much power that hasn't been illuminated, has not been out there in the forefront. And I'm the wrong person to say, I don't believe that the market is oversaturated. I believe
Right.
there's enough room for everyone. And I really just love being a safe place for ideas, for brainstorming, for belief in you, not to think that, sometimes we have circles where we tell them our goals and they're intimidated by them. They feel jealous of them. So just to
Mhm.
be that honest sounding board where I really feel just as invested as you are, and let's activate and get it done.
Look, has she not made it clear why we've fallen in love with one another? Like, you are such a selfless individual, right? And I can only imagine the ways that you have to like reserve your energy so that you can be selfish as you do the work that you do. But I think there's so many of us who are waiting to meet someone like you. You're talking about illuminating gifts. And, to some people, it may be odd that as a woman of faith, a believer, a follower, excuse me, of Christ, that you're talking about monetizing gifts. But we don't even have to get into the scripture, okay? But we're supposed to use what we have, and it's our God-given authority, right? Where does that come from? Where does you wanting to help other people shine brightly come from?
Wow, that is a good question. I will say personally, I think if we get into the spiritual road, it would go down a long road. But personally, I happen to be an only child, and I'm also a daughter of an only child, a single parent
Mm,
who's also an only child. So that means that I didn't have many cousins, I didn't have
mm,
many aunts or uncles. And so I know what it's like to feel like that you just didn't have the support that you need. I have some awesome friends, but they are in various fields. Being from the DC area, they are in government. They are nonprofit sectors. They work at hospitals. They may be teachers. But I was this little creative girl, who was in this DC area and really just didn't have the support. I didn't have it from a familial standpoint, and then I didn't have it from external places. So I
mm,
became what I needed for myself. And it started, just as early as like middle school and high school, of just really supporting and rallying for those around me. And I didn't know that I could turn it into a profession until I just stepped out there. But that's really where it was birthed. But in reference to our gifts, I do believe that sometimes we underestimate ourselves and how powerful our creativity is. I just happen to be called to creative specifically. So if you are a graphic designer, a photographer, a makeup artist, a content creator, a YouTuber, really just not undervaluing how you see, how your artistry, if you're a public speaker, if you're a coach, how you see through the lens of your eyes and how you structure your services, your artwork, all of that, that has so much value in the earth. And it's
mm.
also there to be emulated and duplicated and manipulated. So, it's so important that we, one, see the value in ourselves, try to figure out what this thing is that we're called to do looks like from a professional standpoint, and really leverage it to the masses. So that comes from a personal just
Mm.
conviction I've had through my journey, and I framed it into an actual business.
My goodness. You said conviction, and I also heard confidence.
Mm.
And then I also thought about the word challenge because there are always like two sides, some will argue three, of a story. I want to know more about the process of nurturing your confidence and navigating through any challenges you may have faced while really heeding to your calling in the work that you're doing. As an only child, not speaking for myself, right? But as an only child, I can only imagine what that could be like. I've heard stories of people saying, "Oh, I did great with other people," and others struggled with insecurity or wanting to fit in. Um, and so I want to hear about that, but also how you build your confidence. Like, I know you and your mom are thick as thieves, okay? And so I can only imagine her being able to pour into you because you have so many similarities, but also you were becoming your own woman. Talk to us about that.
Wow. Oh, those were good questions. Okay. I will say this, that one of the blessings to being an only child, I saw more the blessings of it than the deficiencies until I've gotten older, is that I really spend time with myself. I really know myself. I know my quirks. I know my hangups. I know I've just been very introspective with myself. And the more you know yourself, the more you grow confident in your strengths and your qualities, more you trust yourself,
Mhm.
and you trust the decisions that you make. And I've just been able to lean into who I am, the differences about myself. I'm okay with being peculiar. The Bible talks about us as a peculiar people, which is a little weird, which means I may see things through a different scope, through a different lens, and that's okay to accept my differences. And so I think that that was one aspect of how I kind of tapped into who I am just as a person, is really spending quality time with myself in a way that's constructive and not debilitating. And so that means identifying fully the areas of wrong, which I have many areas where I need to grow, need to be stretched. But also I celebrating the strengths that I have, and being proud of them and being unashamed about them. But yes, the second leg of that is mentorship, and my mama mentor is my ride or die. She has been a businesswoman all of my life. She has been an entrepreneur. So I really did. I played around in her office when I was young, just,
Love that.
doing faxing and answering calls. And she would say, take the little kitty voice out your voice. If you're going to answer the phone, you like a businesswoman, And when she was interviewing people and they'd be taking typing tests, I'd take it after them and see how quickly I could, finish the page and all of that. So really, it was a part of my upbringing in reference to just looking at how she built. And also her not being afraid to talk to me about her failures, or
Mm.
telling me, what areas that she wished she had improved upon, and not being afraid to help me to accelerate the process. Because we have so many generations today that can be just intimidated or jealous of the younger generation's success and how they are figuring it out.
Mhm.
So grateful for my mother not being ashamed of the progress, but really wanting me to break generational cycles, even in business, in my identity and relationships, and being able to identify those things that have held her back, held our bloodline back, and not being afraid to talk about it. Hey, let's talk about this fact, about this or that. And, I can think about sometimes I go do a public speaking opportunity, and she'd say, you know what, you embellished a little during that public speaking. She's like, you can be proud of what you've actually done, and you don't have to add on to it or take away from it. And do you know that there's some people in our family who have issues with honesty, so you don't want to tap on, and as soon as you get comfortable embellishing, it will turn out into a whole lie. And so really evaluating me. So yes, I go up there and she said, you did a great job, but let's take some notes there, and so I'm really grateful for, one, my own interest in knowing myself, and knowing the ugly parts of myself, and knowing the phenomenal parts of myself. And then two, being willing to submit to correction, and being willing to submit to just older and leadership and oversight and evaluation through the process. And I think that's what structures the confidence, and just I'm resting in who I am right now, and I'm so at peace with it, but also fully aware of how far I need to go.
This has been an incredible stop on the Get My Life tour. Thank you so much for tuning in. Ma'am, I could end this right now and be perfectly fine with that. I don't think the people can, so we're gonna keep going. But what you're not gonna do is that. Don't do that again. I'm gonna walk off. Let me tell you something. What you have, while it is not rare, is so sacred that it feels that way. It seems that way. The healthy, the healthiness, the the healthy discourse and conversations, the evaluations, the reevaluations, the honesty. How beautiful. How beautiful. You being okay with getting to know yourself, being open to feedback. That's challenging. A lot of us don't want to do that, especially with people who are closest to us, right? I love that. I really do. I appreciate it. You sharing that really prompts me to be more pursuing or pursuant, better yet, of that in my own relationships with my mom, with my sister, with my friends, my homeboys, my homegirl, all of them, because that's what we need more of. Even the note about embellishing. Ugh, I always say I cannot stand liars or dishonest people or people who are dishonest at their core. It's one thing to tell a little lie, to embellish, right? But people who have issues with being honest, but yet dishonest at their core is another. So to know that your mom leads in that way, it's why you show up the way that you do.
Amen.
Girl.
Amen. I will say, I don't want to paint a picture that me and my mom have a perfect relationship. We have fought for our relationship.
Mm,
And it's actually, it has its challenges day to day. But my mom has this saying that to always agree with truth. So it doesn't matter whose mouth it's coming out of. It could be somebody I just like they disgust me. But
mm.
speak something that's truthful to agree with it. It could be a drunkard, it could be a man on the street who's just
Right.
telling you about yourself to agree with that truth. So, I just want that to also be known that we are a real, very real dynamics. At one point in my business, me and my mom did business together, and God bless the grace on the clients who saw things behind the scenes that were covered in NDAs. you know, it's been a real relationship, but also to fight for the relationships and for us as millennials or Gen Zs or the generation that we're in. I found that you cannot make it just have an iron sharpening iron in the sense of only millennials working together. In order for us to have longevity and sustainability in business and our identities and our professions, we need to go out after wisdom. And that wisdom sometimes comes from older generations. So
Right.
that's just my truth, and what I've rested on, throughout my process.
Absolutely. And I agree with that truth. One of my goals in having conversations here on the Get My Life tour is to have a multi generational um, lineup of women and men who have gone through life. There is no way that we can just get through by ourselves. It's impossible. We need our ancestors, we need our elders, we need the young people, right? The truth is, you know, off the mouths of babes, like off the mouths, excuse me, let me pluralize, right? Of babes. So we need one another. We have to be in community with one another in order to thrive. And so many of us believe that success comes with like extreme isolation. I really appreciate you also saying that it can't just be the iron sharpening the iron, right? Sometimes we need those little dull spots or just to just, be. I'm already so full from this conversation. I'm like, come on, come on. In previous conversations offline, we talked about transition, and that being so necessary, not only as we pivot, but as we look to what's next, right? And like the rest that is essential and a part of that as well. You spoke about that earlier, right? Just being comfortable with who you are and resting. But I'm also thinking about the 7 years that you spent in LA, and now being back home in DC and me having a very similar journey, right? Being in New York for the last 6 years and now being back and forth between here, in the Bay Area and Harlem. And I'm like, girl, okay, like, come on, Sister Angel, like, what are we doing here? Um, but you have to continue to do business. You have to continue to show up, be in your relationships, form new relationships, and take care of yourself. Let's talk about
Yeah, one thing, we were just talking about relationships and how you and I, formed a connection through some rich conversations about just life,
that.
and how it just transitions and really finding comfort in that. And I will say that nothing for me has been an immediate, oh, I feel peace. I've had some conversations with myself, and I think that I initially thought to go to DC, that's not a creative, city, even though I found some amazing creatives here while being
Yeah.
here. But, I thought that I was going backwards. I am now in a multi-generational household. Not only my mother, but my grandfather is here right now as well. So from being primarily independent and having to shift just to make family a priority, I wasn't sure about it. I really wasn't. I actually this week, and if you all go back, it'll probably be in the future or the past for you all. I'm releasing a room tour, and I had these like war with myself, and I said, "You're doing a room tour when your peers are doing house tours. They're talking about signing their home, but you know what? To find peace." Where I am, even in this, I'm still a businesswoman. I still have clients, but I'm also a daughter and I'm also a granddaughter. And to trust that God's plan for my life is way better than the plan that I could have for myself, and to submit to the process, whatever process He has or for each of us. It may look different, and to be okay with that. And it's so important that we go back to looking at ourselves and looking at our journeys. And when I look at over my life and think of the things that I've been through, I say thank you. And I call even this season a win, even this season that I couldn't have imagined, a win in my eyes and in the eyes of the Lord. So, to really trust where you are and rest in it. When we war with where we are, you are slowing yourself down from going ahead. And I won't talk about the projects I'm working on now, but Lydia is aware of some of them. While in this place, I have had opportunities that I couldn't have imagined for myself. And I'm grateful. And it has, to me, it's a reward for my obedience and my trust, my unwavering trust in the Lord and the navigator of my life. And I have to throw the faith thing in there. I'm not sure if everyone's faith specific, but it's so relieving to know that I don't have to be the captain of my ship when I have submitted to the one who is. I know that, you know what, I may not know where we're going, but I trust the one who's driving this thing, and that He'll get us to the shore. And so He's showing me in that. But in the process of me being in a 3 generational home in the DC area, he's refining my character. He's teaching me patience with a 79-year-old. He's teaching me that everything isn't about me and that some things are about your family. He's teaching me how to serve. He's teaching me how to, resubmit myself and to just consecrate myself before him. So yes, he's concerned about our goals, but he's also concerned about our character. And that's why he processes us. So to really, really, really just rest in where you are. And once you submit, you'll start seeing things activate. You start seeing things start moving and shaking. And so that's what has happened for me. I've warred with it now for a few months now. I was like, okay, now, Lord, what we
Girl.
see, you know, but I have come to a place of peace and trust in him. And I was just talking to Lydia, prior to us having this conversation, and we're like, hey, what's the update? I was like, pending right now. And that's okay to not even know what's next, just to take one day at a time, one step at a time, and trust that as you submit to the Lord, and as you submit to the process of your life, that it will all make sense. So we really have to relinquish the control that we try to have over our narratives.
I was gonna go on mute because I knew I was struggling, okay, with not shouting and screaming. I also didn't want to look like I was distracted, but I'm taking notes. And I'm like, wait a second. Wait a second. I have a title for this episode. You said it. I call even this season a win. Baby, when I could have screamed, but I was like, I'm gonna do everybody a favor and not, because I'm not trying to be all in y'all ears like that. But that just spoke to my entire being in a very real way. Oftentimes, and I struggle with this a lot, okay? In the words of 21 Savage, a lot. And I think that things have to look a certain way because of how much work I've put in. Well, I've done this and I've spent so much time doing that. And if I'm here, and then because I'm in between two time zones and I have to think about this and that, then, well, what is and how and that ticking sound will drive you up a wall or 10. And I've been up all 10 of them, okay? Worrying about the lateral moves, what makes sense, what it's supposed to look like. Sometimes we have to go back in order to firmly plant ourselves, right? To reattach ourselves to our roots. And just having the experience that I've had and coming back to the West Coast after not being here for so long and knowing what my living environment looked like before I left and what I was coming back to and the grace that has been extended to me as I learn, relearn, unlearn. You said it so well, and I really hope that someone is listening with their heart. Like, I hear you and I feel you on a level, and I'm just like, my goodness, I call even this season a win, right? While in this place, the opportunity. We can't see the opportunity zones, and now I'm thinking about contracting and construction and government loans and all these other things, but I'm just thinking about my life, right? There's the terminology opportunity zones for neighborhoods that are being gentrified or revitalized, as they'd like to say, right? But there are so many opportunity zones in our lives when we go back. And those are the places we don't want to reconstruct because of how much demolition had to happen, because of the spaces we had to leave in order to grow. And even if we did have these stellar experiences, we just wanted so much more for ourselves, right? And to be able to prove that we could do it. But you talk about the opportunity. Uh, People are signing, you know, whatever they're closing in on their homes and this, that, and the third, and you're redecorating your room. Oh, do I know what that's like? I have this standing desk and these things organized there. But it's the space, right? Being faithful with what you have.
That's good. Oh,
You're working that room so you can work the 3 floors. You'll know how to organize, right? Doing it for yourself, right? Because so many of us want so much more. We want the partnerships, we want the opportunities. Okay, so what happens to the preparation season? I remember Pastor Marcus in Greensboro, North Carolina, Hungry Church. Shout outs to him, a college pastor. He talked about the seasons of preparation, separation, and reparation. And I believe I am in that season of preparation. And what I hear you saying, um, is that you just might be there too, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. The reward of your obedience and trust, your unwavering trust, your unwavering obedience, all of these experiences are necessary, as painful, as unattractive, as embarrassing as they can seem to us, right? And then I just want to call it out because I'm now, look, I'm getting all preachy, right? But being concerned with our goals and not, you didn't say it this way, but sometimes we are more concerned with our goals than our character. But to know that the Most High is more concerned with our character than our goals, even though, both are important, it's mind blowing, right? Because sometimes we become so nasty, so selfish, so self serving when we're achieving. Oh, I got this written down. You don't know how to treat people. Like, it's not going to last long. You're not faithful with you have. You don't care about your family. Oh, you want a man. Oh, you want a woman. Oh, okay, cool. But you can't do with the family you have now. Chauncéa, you
look,
getting me all the way together is what I'm saying, right? I'm saying this for the people, but I'm saying this to Lydia T, Blanco. Girl,
listen, you are preaching too. I was over here like, okay, let me take some mental notes because it's real. And I think we want to get to the finish line so quickly.
mm,
But God wants us to have something that can't be broken, that will last, that will have longevity. So, in order to do that, He does have to. You said something that I was like, wow, I didn't even think of that, but He has to kind of take us back
mhm,
and dig up the soil again. Let's see how you planted that tree. The way you planted it initially is
mhm.
leaning, it's about to hold on
Okay.
to your life, and we've got to dig up the soil. Let's replant some seeds. Let
Mhm,
reshape how you think so that when I give you what I have for you, because I have so many great things in store for you, you won't squander it. You won't mess it up. You won't, give it out to all your friends because you're a people pleaser, or, pay all your loved ones and buy them houses and all of that, even though he told you to reserve it for you in this season. And, really just working on your character and development so that when the goal does actually become a reality, you're ready to carry it. I mean, really carry it. So just to be comfortable in the process. And I thought of a scripture too in the Bible that talks about the last being first. So not to
mhm.
learn what anybody else is doing. Okay. Because I really believe that, and I don't think even we didn't plan this conversation or
Right.
anything. This is just us really talking from what we feel. There's someone who needs to hear this, that you need to keep your eyes on your own stuff because God has so much in store for you, and it will look like nothing of the things that you're admired by right now. That you see how their business has blossomed. You've seen how, because when they really know your story and the things that you've been through, and when you make it, it will be a testimony to the masses. So to really trust what God is cooking up. He's marinating you right now. And the finished dish will be immaculate.
I'm thinking of an episode, I believe it was in season 1 or 2, when I talked about going home. It had to be 2, because I really felt led to share the journey of me coming back home. And I believe it aired in January of 2020. And I felt it. I felt it happening. I didn't know nothing about, the shutdown. And then in March, I was back in California.
Wow.
And here we are, okay, halfway through 2021. And I'm just thinking about all of things that I've learned, all of things that are now so sacred to me, all of the things that have been reprioritized that I've had to let go, the growth, the literally the growth, grief that I've experienced. And I'm just like, wow. In this conversation, I'm just like, I am about to sit with this, right? But if you can think of 3 things, right, that you've learned that may serve as like encouragement or advice about or for other people that you've gotten since you've been back home, you know, what would those 3 things be?
Wow. I'm not sure if I can pinpoint specific people. Oh, I'll share something super personal. Oh goodness, it came to mind, so I'm like, might as well share it. So I had, I'm almost 33, and I currently am not married, and I don't have children, and you feel like the clock is ticking. But I've also been in a place of really being okay where I am, and really have just made I'm a bride of Christ, one, and then just nurturing my baby, which is my business, and that's been beautiful. However, I started to think about marriage, and I was like, okay, Lord, I feel like we're coming around the bend, and I kind of felt uncomfortable with it, if I were to be candid. I've always looked at that dynamic of a relationship in a way that is a little weighty. I've looked at it as how much you lose yourself and the responsibility of it, the weight and the attacks that come on marriages, just with the divorce rate and everything. And one of the things, one of my dear friends who is my videographer, and we work together every week, he just became a fiance. He proposed to his girl, and he was like, Chauncéa, you're thinking about what you have to do, but you're not thinking about what you get to receive. The level of the taking off of your plate, and the covering and the protection. And it's interesting, but I've also seen that from the lens of my relationship with the Lord. Sometimes we think about our obedience and how that, like, I gotta be obedient. He don't want me to do this, that, and the other. He wants me to submit to the process and come back, move home, and all this stuff. But to think about the benefits that you get when you are submissive to that process. So that is such a personal thing, but just wanted to be transparent and say that was eye-opening to me. I'm sitting there like, this man gonna want a meal every, like, I was
Better get in that kitchen, girl. Okay. No.
like, Lord, how are we gonna do this now? But
Look,
just,
hide your weakness.
like, really how he will lift a load. I will literally feel lighter because of the power and the two becoming one that brings. So that was just really so transformative to me. And I have to think about 2 others, but I've just really been told to just keep my eyes on Jesus. That has been the narrative, that we are in an interesting hour, and it's not because of the pandemic. Yes, that may be an indicator, but just I don't know if anybody else is like me, where you just feel there's something shifting. Um,
Absolutely.
and so, really, to the Bible says to work out your salvation with fear and with trembling. And
Mm.
so, I really want to. I have this saying that my friends love, and it's, we focus on getting well done at the end of our journey. Like, that
Mhm.
scripture, hey,
Yep.
that people serving and you, I'm well
Yep.
pleased, all of that. But to get a well done today, to
Mhm.
just focus on today, being the best you can today, chipping away those things you're like, well, I'm just like this, I just, that's how I am. Like, really cutting all of that out,
Mhm.
perfecting our character, perfecting our walk with the Lord, not just being, in a place that's mediocre. I believe that you deserve excellence out of your life in every area of your life. And sometimes we put excellence everywhere except the areas that matter. And so,
Right.
excellence in your relationships. Another thing I've had to work on, even while being home, is like forgiveness. You know how easy it was to be 3,000 miles away and, call when you need to, and really working on my heart, on forgiveness. We're called to forgive, and
Mhm.
just as we are filthy and the Lord forgives us and allows us to wake up every day and get opportunities and have a roof over our head and food in our belly, even though it may not be the roof you want or the food
Mhm.
specifically desire right now. He's been faithful. I loved when you used the word faithful. It just rung in my ears.
Mhm.
He's been faithful, and he calls us to be faithful over the life he's given us and the relationships he's given us. So every relationship, parental relationships, siblings, grandparents, cousins, they were formed before we were even here. He made no mistake about it. He made no mistake about the people who would get on your nerves, the people who would lie, the people who would betray you, the people who would hurt you, but
Mhm.
how that forgiveness really just
Mhm.
helps groom us as individuals, as creatives. It all translates,
Mhm.
so that we cannot expedite the process and not go through the steps that he wants us to in our heart. And these are old school words, but look, I told you I done had the older mentorship. So, and I'm a little grandma in my soul, but afraid to say that he wants holiness, he wants purity, he really wants our heart to be all about him. And he's a jealous God. So if your heart is for your business and you're wondering why it's not scaling, or maybe it is, I'm still telling you that, you got to get your priorities in order. And that includes you, your relationship with God, your relationship with your family. And I almost want to put business last, because if you like me, I'll go after the business. You don't even got to convince me. Like, what? We're trying to get the coin. We're trying to, accelerate. It comes, I wake up like, okay, what's on the agenda today? But do I have prayer on the agenda? Do I have seeking his face on the agenda? Do I have, hey, let me, cancel today and go hang out with my grandfather and just talk to him about stories he's told me a million times?
I
You
love
know,
it.
calling that person who has just hurt me in the past, and just asking how they're doing, and not having a motive in it, not turning it into an argument, but making it about them and not about me and how I feel and how I've been wrong. So I'm sorry, there's a work going on over here and y'all getting all the residue of it. I'm sorry.
Here for it.
Yeah.
Here for it. And you said it so well. And I know it's on my shirt. I'm not even trying to be corny, but this is legit. The reason why I say how you live your life is your business. How you live your life is your business. Every area, we make sure that we get our dollars and our cents together. How's your character? How's your heart? How's your family? How's your mental health? How's your emotional intelligence? How your mama and them? Like legit, how you live your life is your business. I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. And honestly, the one word that is coming to me right now to summarize what you shared is alignment.
Mm, wow.
So many of us have experienced, if we aren't there right now, just being unaligned. And we wonder why things aren't happening or why the things that are happening are. Got to get aligned. You have to get aligned. You do. You do. And until you do, I'm not speaking anything. I'm just going to give you that face and those sounds, right? Because it's very real. I know what I've experienced or what I've wanted to and haven't been able to because I wasn't aligned, right? Um, I'm not without fault, without sin, any of that, but I think it's worth saying, like, get aligned. You're home. I'm not saying this because I love you, but it just sounds like you're in alignment. Things that are supposed to happen are happening. You're right where you're supposed to be. And sometimes I know even living this bi-coastal lifestyle, I'm like, oh God, where is it? And it's like, oh, I'm where I'm supposed to be. Oh, I was supposed to be here this long. Oh, you've kept my place in Harlem, even when I've been without, when I've been desperate, when I've been, dismayed. Oh, you've made this. I had to just trust. I had to believe. I had to be still. Oh, I needed to enroll. Oh, okay, I get aligned. If you want it to happen, get aligned. And I'm not saying as soon as you do, it will, but I believe that's the first step.
Yeah.
Ah.
Ooh. Look, there's two words that you've said that are just connected with me. Faithfulness, where you are, and then to get into alignment. Oh, that's a word right there. That is a oh, so much is so rich.
And as I say that, to everyone who's tuned in, I honestly am speaking to myself as well. You have reminded me of so much in this conversation. I'm excited about, I think I'm a bit more excited about traveling back to the East Coast than I have been in this last week and last few days of booking my ticket again because I'm like, okay, God, what's next and where do you want me? What does that look like? Because of the ways that I've been able to root myself here on the West Coast, but I understand now that that was necessary, right? Prioritizing family and, reigniting different relationships and letting people know where I'm at and how I'm doing because for so long I was just like, oh, okay, I just need to, keep my head down and right. Making sure that I'm communicating like, oh, I don't want to be seen this way. And like, oh no, I'm still the same me. And I'm like, oh, well, you actually are, but you're not, but you are, but you're not, but you are, but you're not. And so all of that, I'm like, you girl, I'm telling you, I'm taking notes. I'm like, I keep shaking the table. But it's because you keep shaking the table. And these notes right here, all that you have given us on this stop of the tour, there's a part two loading. Just say yes. Just say yes. Even if you say no, we're gonna have this conversation again. Right? Because I'm that friend. I'm like, oh, you didn't want to do it. Oh, I'm just here record. I ever consent? Okay, great. Um, I'm full. I know there's so much more that we could talk about, but you have some incredible things in the works that are going to really, touch so many hearts. And I'm excited about that for you. I guess we've come to the point on the tour where it's time for you to drop the mic. Oh my gosh, is that even fair? No, keep going. No, you have to drop the mic. Okay, let me brace myself, y'all. Hmm, this has been good. I really, I can. I can. Ah, Chauncéa, when you are ready, please drop the mic.
Mm, okay. Um, I heard one thing, and I'll just share this that I think it's time for us to abandon certain thoughts that we have about ourselves and about our journeys and processes. So, it'd be great if you made a decision today that I'm going to stop looking at this situation a certain way. I'm going to stop looking at myself in a certain way, that anytime that thought rises up, that you would cancel it. You would immediately cancel it and remember that on this during this session, during this um, dialogue, you made a commitment, you made a decision, that you signed a contract, that you would start looking at yourself a certain way, that you would start looking at your situation a certain way, that you would start looking at your gifts. So whether that's to abandon or to embrace a certain thought, a certain mindset, that you would go forward in that you would activate or kill what needs to be birthed or even suffocated, and so it is time to go to another level. And it doesn't matter how many workshops we listen to, how many conversations we have with counselors or things like that. It all starts with the real transformation occurs when you make a decision. So today is the day to make a decision about who you are. So if it's the word curses that an aunt said to you or a mother said to you, and you just keep having them going in your head, you're going to work every day thinking that you're this, you're talking with friends really thinking that you're this, that you are going to kill it, you determine it's a lie. It is a lie. And that's it. That's it. We don't gotta figure out why it's a lie, blah, 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 get to that it is a lie from the pit of hell. Let me just say that. Okay. Or that it is a truth, that you are gifted, that you're talented, that you're resourceful, that you are more than a conqueror, that you're confident, and to believe that, to sign the contract, that these thoughts that I've been having for the last decade plus, some of you since schooling, when we were in elementary school and stuff, don't you think they've lived long enough? And so it is really time for us to get into alignment, to be faithful over everything, that you're called to be, what you're called to do, and let's go after it. All right, that's what I thought to say. That's what was on my heart, and I would really love to, hear. Please, like DM Lydia or me, and tell me what was that thing you abandoned, or
Yeah.
what was the thing that you birthed, because now is the time.
Mm. I definitely just wanted to just take my AirPod out and just drop the mic. I was like, no, it's probably knocking against these door knocker earrings. I am signing the contract. I am signing the contract. I will make sure that there is a deliverable, so that we can create this action item and deliver on it together as a community that is beautiful. I'm signing the contract. Today's date, July 18th. And so y'all know how consistent I'll be, okay? 2021 at 2:10 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know if it's daylight or standard. We're going to just say Pacific time, okay? I am signing the contract. Okay. I'm like overwhelmed with emotion right now. Um, this has been exactly what I've needed. I mean, when I talk about on time, and my prayer is that it will continue to be a source of encouragement, a resource for whoever tunes in, and that you would take your life, your character, your journey, you being center stage so seriously that you will hold this closely and that you would really uphold your end of the contract. Look, only you will know what happens if you don't, but I hope that you do. Okay, because I'm taking all these pregnant pauses because I'm having a moment right now. Y'all can see it clearly. My love, let them know how they can stay connected with you.
Okay, so wow, this has been good for me too. I'm taking a moment as well. And I'm just so grateful for the conversation. And it was timely for me as well. I hope you know that as Lydia and I are talking to one another and to you, that we're not talking at you. We are in the thick of certain things ourselves. And so I need to sign a contract too, you know?
Okay.
But I would love if you all connected with me. I'm at Chauncéa on all social media platforms, Instagram being my most active. And then my website is chauncea.com. And my email, you can even email me, Chauncéa at
Okay.
Chauncéa. Give me a minute to, get back to you, but I do try to be accessible while I'm in this season. I can be a little bit more accessible right now. And I would love to talk to you, whether it's about your business goals and just tapping into who you are and how we can monetize it, whether it's about your faith. I would love to just have some conversations with you because I absolutely do care and try to make myself available where and when I can. And or we can talk about fashion and stuff too because I love that stuff.
You
So
see, she
connect.
fly. You see those polka dots and sheer, baby. Give the people what they want. I am the people.
All day long. See, creative. Let's use it. Why not?
Yes. I love it. Be sure to follow up with her. Get your life, okay? I'm getting mine. As always, to stay connected with the Get My Life Tour, visit thegetmylifetour.com. Be sure to connect on all social platforms at the Get My Life Tour. And if you want to stay connected with me, follow my work journalistically, or it's just I just do life, right? Be sure to be connected at Lydia T. Blanco on all social platforms. With the exception of Facebook, it is by Lydia T. Blanco. I am currently not accepting friend requests as I tend to my own garden. And you can visit the, no, that is not the right one. I'm going to edit that out. You can also visit lydiatblanco.com. This has been everything that I've needed and more. When I say timely, when I say signed, sealed, delivered, I'm on the contract, I am yours, okay? It's real. I really hope that you've gotten what you needed and more. This is what it's all about. How through, how you live your life is your business. In taking center stage in your life, you have to show up for yourself. You absolutely do before you can show up for anyone else. Oh, I just had to take a deep breath because it's so much. I'm like, so much. Look, I won't be labor because y'all know I could go on and on. Like too short, okay? I just had to do a little Bay Area pun. Until the next time, be kind to yourself, prioritize yourself, do something to master your self love. It has been real. Thank you for showing up and listening with your heart. Peace.